Hey guys, Sequoia here from Phoenix Off-Grid Solutions. You can see behind me is a beautiful 170 Sprinter. This is a 2022 Sportsmobile. And today we're going to be swapping out the 300 amp hour stock lithium battery and putting in two Epic 300s. So we're going to be doubling the battery capacity, which are primarily going to power the 120 air conditioner on the roof, the 120 volt air conditioner. Now currently it's just a Dometic Penguin, but I am also going to be swapping in a new Furrion Chill Cube, which is something that is, it's a little different in size, but it runs much more efficiently and it runs a lot quieter as well. I did do some previous work on this build, including like a 250 or 220 watt solar panel fitted in between the air conditioner and the max fan. I'm not sure if you can see them up there, but we can take a look at that. This build also has a secondary alternator, so charging is absolutely not a problem for this client. But back here in the rear end, Sportsmobile really just slapped together an electrical system, an electrical box. And, you know, I've already been in here and done some tidying up, mostly everything along that back wall. But I know that the client had problems from the very beginning, including the shunt being wired backwards. Fueled wires not being connected to the secondary alternator system. But you can see the Relion battery is in this little metal box, and it has a vent over here, and I think it's done that way to satisfy RVIA standards. But we're going to be taking this battery out, taking out this box, reconfiguring the links distributor and the major cabling, and then popping in two of these Epic 300 amp hour batteries in the same location. Couple other things I'd like to do is relocate this on and off switch to the back wall, and maybe the solar charging as well, because the client does turn that on and off depending on, you know, his preference. Got our links distributor off, got our Class T fuse off the back there. It's a 400 amp Class T main switch. Battery's technically free, so now we're going to try to lift this thing out of here. Not too bad. Not as bad as lead acid. Here's our battery box that we will no longer be using. Isn't that nice? They wrap that all the way around. Oh yeah, look at all that room in there. So we have one battery today, the other one's coming this afternoon. All right, decided I'm taking out the shunt. It was tucked all the way back over here, and kind of putting that with the links distributor. That's how I like to do things. And so I'm figuring out that these two cables here go to a multi-plus, which is under the seat. And then that, even though it has the red heat shrink on it, is a ground cable. And the ground cable goes right to the wheel well. And it's basically just bolted to the wheel well. And I've seen this done before, and I think it's kind of lame right there. So that's the main ground. And if you've ever like tapped on the metal of these wheel wells, it's very thin. I don't think that's an adequate ground, especially since this thing has a secondary alternator on it. So it's pulling, you know, upwards of 200 amps through that very thin metal there. So we're gonna pull that, and we're gonna relocate this ground somewhere better. Yeah, probably just down through the floor and then to the chassis. All right, so I'm opting to go with a backboard that's going to be on its side over here on the side of the battery. What that's going to allow me to do is have all my battery cables, because I'm going to just run these in parallel from positive to positive. It's going to leave me room for all that cabling. It's going to leave me room for my switch here. It's going to leave me room to fit the Class T fuse over here. It's also going to allow me to just use the cables that are here and not have to extend them and run them up into my links distributor. It's not as convenient as seeing it from up top, but it's still pretty convenient. And so I moved the smart shunt, right, and I attached it right to my links distributor, and then I'm going to use this links like easy install kit from Trek System, and this is something I use pretty often. It comes in a full kit. There's some other pieces that I'm not using here. They also include a longer brass bolt so that you can just drop it right through your negative bus bar into the shunt. The ones that come with the shunt are just a little too short. Anyway, I have a full video on Lynx distributors and Lynx power ends. But I'm going to put these on the back of this. I'm going to mount this right here. I'm going to have some brackets on the bottom. And then I also have a little bracket on the wall. I cut out a little piece here and then rounded it over with a router so it's a nice smooth edge. I did that on the front too. That way some cables, battery cables, can kind of fit along the wall there and connect to the positive and the negative. Time to cut in this switch. This switch face is about 3 3/4 inches. I don't have a hole saw that size, but what I do have is a roll of tape that's very close to that size. So I'm just going to put this up here. I'm going to trace it, and then I'm going to use my little body saw to cut that out, and then I'm going to route it. Got my switch installed. I ended up just using the 4-inch hole saw, and there's just a little even reveal around it. And I think when the lid is on, you're not even going to notice it. It's just cleaner that way. We have our Class T fuse there, our batteries in place. We have our little partition installed, brackets on the bottom. It's a little floppy at the top, so I'm going to add, I think, a little angle here. But yeah, basically now it's just connecting wires, drilling a new hole for the ground. Making cables. This thing makes it pretty easy. Got my main battery cables all connected over to the distributor. Now time to hook up all this stuff. I'm going to start with the big cables. Just got that ground off the wheel well. This was, I mean, all the 4-aught cable lugs are way oversized. They're like all 3/8. You see how deformed that one is. The inside of the wheel well was stripped of paint, which was good. There was no tooth washer, which is something I always use. I also use dielectric grease on my ground connections as well, in case there's any corrosion or rust over time. But yeah, you really do need to strip your paint whenever you put a ground cable on, wherever you're putting that. So we're going to replace this with a ground cable straight to the frame. Here's my ground cable down through the floor and to the frame. I drilled a hole through the floor and used some black expanding foam by Great Stuff. Then over here I have a self-tapping stainless steel screw with a tooth washer behind it. I used a wire wheel to strip away the undercoating, and then I used some dielectric grease over all of that so that there's not going to be any rust, and it just improves the connection to the frame. All right, here's the finished installation. We have our 2 Epoch batteries wired in parallel, going through a 400 amp Class T fuse, going to a Blue C on-off switch, and then back around to our Lynx distributor, which is mounted on this little ball. There we have our fuses for our multi-plus, our alternator charger, our secondary alternator, our DC load center, and then also the MPPT. Our solar comes in over here into this solar breaker, this DIN rail breaker, and then into the unit. We also have a Serbo GX, which is taking data from the MPPT, from the smart shunt, which is located right over there. And then also we have our RJ45 coming from the multi-plus. And the GX touchscreen is up front, and all of that was previously installed. I just made it look good. So yeah, basically now I've gone in and programmed the batteries, really just renamed the batteries. I programmed all of the chargers, the solar, the multi-plus, which is under the bench here. Also gone into the Serbo and the smart shunt and updated all of that information to the appropriate settings for the Epoch batteries. Yeah, and this client is ready to go. I'm going to do some load testing on the inverter and our new Furrion Chill Cube. And then I'll also plug it into shore power and test it that way. But yeah, they're basically good. We'll pop the lid back on after the client gives it a final inspection. And they've just increased their battery capacity by 300 extra amp hours.